Hello, welcome once again to another episode of the Scrumcast over at handcannononline.com, where it might be hot in the summer, but we've got the Northkin coming at us now. With me, as usual, is the Rock of the Podcast, Fraser Belfort, DeffHeadDice on all things social media.
Howdy, folks.
And a rare occurrence these days, the former press king, formerly known as the guy, Mr. Dallas John.
Dude, I told you last time you need a new introduction. I'm not a press ganger anymore.
See, that's why
I'm not a press ganger.
You're a press ganger at heart, Dallas.
I got fired,
This is
and I took the firing to heart because I'm a bad person.
one of the listeners, you guys, you're gonna have to give me an idea here. Like, I'm set in my ways. Give me something else to call Dallas. Give me something funny to say. Even if it is novel and interesting, I will take it and give you all the credit. So
it has to be better than Rainbow of the Creoles, though.
Clearly, I mean, I don't introduce myself as that. I only got
Anymore.
as that when other people were there, like somebody else is hosting. So. All right, so there have been some pretty interesting developments in that I wasn't here last week, which meant somebody else hosted. I haven't listened to the newest episode because I'm a bad podcast host. But why don't you fill me in on last week's episode there, Fraser?
So last week we had Daryl from Combo Smite, who's a long long in the tooth troll player. Not as long in the tooth than I am, but close enough. And we talked about the leaked or spoiled Northkin pieces from the Primecast, which was pretty interesting. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think about it.
Oh, we're going to talk about it again.
I know, I figured as much. So let me just jump quickly into the bookkeeping. So follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Put your games into the Battle Reporter. And I don't remember if I mentioned this last week on the Battle Reporter. When you choose the scenario, there's actually a neat little image of what the scenario looks like. So if you only remember it by like the two circles or the two rectangles or the flags, you actually see the picture. So you don't even have to remember what the name of the scenario is. So that's a handy new feature. So check that out. And I'll leave the fun upcoming contest, the podcasting contest, for the end of the episode. So stay tuned for that.
Seems good. Okay, into the news. So last weekend I had a tournament. I went 3-0, took Doomy 2, and took Jarl. Jarl proved to be super solid. I think people aren't giving him enough credit right now. I think he's pretty good.
He's way underrated right now, I think.
I agree. My experience was that in the game that I won very resoundingly with him, my opponent was judging my threat ranges very well. Forgot to feat to sort of prevent me from getting a huge amount of board control, but recovered very well because he had a very good range presence with his list. It was Raven with in theme, the one that gives him no tough on all melee attacks and all that kind of stuff. So difficult to deal with. But Jarl, based on his model removal and the speed of the list, I was able to swing scenario by 4 points in one turn. And then subsequently put my opponent in such a way where he had to contest literally every way in which I could score points in order to win. And he just could not blanket the board well enough. And Jarl had enough reach that he could just, say, all right, those 4 models are not where they need to be anymore because I've shot them to death and, and took scenario. And I think that that's going to be one of his main strengths going into this meta, especially when you consider that you still got to deal with certain theme lists like Ghost Fleet and others that are very strong. He handles that matchup pretty well. And he's honestly fairly decent into Crix as well because he can spread his board so well. And he's got decent threat behind the lines because of Magic Bullet and the War Wagon. So it's pretty interesting. And then I let Doomy 2 do the heavy lifting versus the other lists because turns out he's really good in this current meta. 15-inch threat range is nothing to shake a stick at.
Also highly underrated right now.
I don't know that he's highly underrated. I think
or underused rather.
No, I think
underused, probably right.
Well, no, you're seeing. I mean, there was significant usage of him in the. If you looked at the ETC results and some of the other stuff late last year, and it's still someone. It's a lot of people's go-to is Doomy 2. You're actually seeing a little bit more of Doomy 3 picking up, but no, Doomy 2 seems to be well represented at this point, from at least from the results I've been seeing.
All right, Battle Reporter for the win. And in general, Doomy 2 can do a lot of heavy lifting. Like, when you've got that kind of threat, you get Fury 7, his spell list is great. Primal Shock for key removal, and then, you know, you got a tool like the Mountain King in the list. It's definitely going to do some heavy lifting. The Mountain King's just such an oppressive model to deal with if you don't have the volume of attacks or the sheer output to deal with it. My final opponent during the tournament was a Khador player who had 4 heavies, and his threat range was not significant enough that he could prevent me from killing 2 heavies and then just making it so he couldn't kill the Mountain King. And so I won that game on attrition. So, yeah, that's going to be my pair up until I get my second Glacier King, and I really do think that Ragnar Double Gargantuan is going to be the thing that can really edge out a lot of the more spammy lists. And honestly, it might even handle things like Haley too in a way, just in the sheer amount of damage that can soak and then, you know, rebound from. So there will be that. So since you're sort of in the know, Fraser, and we were going to talk about this briefly, was the statement. The Primecast leaked not necessarily leaked, they spoiled a number of things that are going to be coming up in our faction book. So I think we want to focus on one of those models specifically, but can you just give us a quick rundown of the salient points there, Fraser?
For the caster or just the other stuff?
For the, I mean, what? Of the models that they spoiled.
Oh, the models. Okay, so new stuff. We know yes. Borka 2 is going to be looked at. They've made some changes to him because they feel they need to do some work with him. So new models. We're getting a new battle engine. So it'll be the first faction with a second battle engine. The Hooch Hauler, which is pulled by bears and throws a catapult of oil and fire. So what's not to like with that one? We've got a Creelstone alternative CA. Basically, it's a Northkin Elder, which gives 3 additional abilities, +2 damage to cold, a strength buff for warriors, and it speeds up Northkin. And you have an option to take it. You don't have to take it in theme, so you can take it outside of theme if it works for your list. We've got a new war beast called the Ice Troll, which is different than the Winter Troll. He throws icicles. And he has an Animus, he has Swift Hunter, which is kind of neat. There's the bear unit, so it's 2 bears plus a handler on a large base. It's FA2. I'm kind of scared to see what the point cost will be on this one. This one really intrigues me. So they have Gang, Ambush, Prowl, and the bears have 3 initial attacks. 2 POW 14s on the claws and 1 POW 15 on the bite. So that to me was gonna get people worried, especially if you're coming in from the sides on that with ambush. And then we've got the new caster, Cole Grima. Do you want to cover what we got on that one?
Yeah. So right now, what we've seen is that that she's going to be an Ice Witch effectively, so she control weather. She's Fury 7. She's not a shaman like many of our others. In addition to that, she's going to have a Northkin Old Witch vibe, right? So anti-magic, curses, stuff like that. I hope she's not in the same like stature as the Old Witch. I'd really like to see more of a spooky Ice Witch kind of situation where she's long and billowy and, you know, very troll-like rather than hunched over. We got too many hunched over models. So she's got Arcane Vortex, and I'm certainly not familiar with that rule. I believe it's additional die to hit on magic attacks made in her command.
No, I believe it negates any magic attacks. She spends
so it's a Haley ability. be.
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's you spend a focus anything within a certain range, and the focus or fury is still spent. It just negates that, which is handy.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. She's got a cloud wall just like Zerkova. She's got Hunter's Mark, which is excellent. And under Kruger, where models 3 inches, and then models and ending their activation and control suffer blind. So that means that it's sort of an anti-engage tool. So it gives your opponent the option of not re-entering and using range threat, but it prevents them from re-engaging on your models for fear of being minus a bunch of defense, mat, and rat. So it's an interesting control-y type of troll where she wants to be positioned aggressively to feat well and utilize her spells, and then hope she doesn't get shot off the table from outside her control, which is hard to do, granted, at 14 inches, but it's still something to consider. Dallas, have you had a chance to think about this one much?
Trying to talk to you guys and I'm all muted. So the pessimist in me comes out when I hear about her blind ability, that they're only blind on our turn and not theirs. That hurts my feelings. Because it helps us hit. Ooh, my phone's ringing. It helps us hit and do all that stuff, but it doesn't hurt them at all. So it holds true to form with some of the other Trollkin abilities where on our turn it really hurts them, but on their turn it doesn't hurt them that much. So if we can kill them, we're in good shape. But if we can't kill them, it's like we might as well just peed on them or something. So she sounds tough though. We'll have to see what her total rules turn out to be. I like it. I like they're giving us another high fury caster, high magic caster. That's a different flavor for trolls, at least. Put her in the same camp. I hope her stats are better than Doom Shapers. Please.
Somehow I expect like a Calandra type stat line.
I'm thinking 13, 15, 14, 14. That I mean, we don't have strong magic users that have good stats, so
No, not really. Even
that's probably the way it is.
the shamans among us are not the strong ones anyway, not specially statted.
Yeah. So I think Hunter's Mark helps us a lot. A cloud wall is going to be good, and that the abilities that they've given us make me think old hunched over magic using troll, similar to Doom Shaper stat wise. But then she'll have ways to keep shooty armies from getting at her, which I hope that's the way. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I don't feel good at all about a feat that doesn't do anything to them on their turn. So there's a few out there though.
I mean,
I want a feat that messes them up on their turn.
Well, okay, so you have to sort of think about it in the same realm of thought as like Horgel's feat, right? Horgel 2,
which is great.
It's not like super great, but it makes you plan your turn differently. Like it makes you think tactically different than trolls are traditionally used to bringing their game, right?
Yeah, that does.
Like it doesn't ask a question so much as it solves a problem. Like, okay, so maybe the Northkin are going to have a historically low mat across the board, and you're going to have a hard time hitting, so the blind is huge. Or you're going to use it as a disengage tool because they're -4 mat, and they're unlikely to hit you on a free strike. Or can they make free strikes when they're blind? I don't think they can.
But they're not going to be blind on their turn anyways. So.
No. They're blind on your turn, which means if you...
Oh, I don't know. I it's been a while. We'll have to see.
Dallas.
I'll look it up.
You dropped the PG moniker. The rules are just gone out of your brain. What's up?
I've been shopping today. Haven't been paying attention.
Believe that, I say.
Well. No, I don't use Gorman that much. He's the only model I have with blind, and since Mark III, I don't think I've used him. And so I don't remember exactly what they've done with blind and Mark III, be honest with you.
I'd say that's fair. I mean, so I guess PB is trying to like push us into a different like mindset tactically. We
need one.
Yeah. because we've played. Think about it like this: we've played a certain way for a long time, and it's been very, very indicative of our list building in the past. Like
Yes.
trolls have always asked the questions, brought really hard questions to answer, and I think that they're trying to give us maybe answers to questions in a way, but in a different realm. So
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting thought process. Like
I hope it's not like I hope it's not Winter Troll-esque in the way the ability works, where it doesn't really give a negative effect to them. It just helps me on one turn kill it, which isn't. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it seems thematic in the way they've always done it, and I kind of wish they wouldn't. So hopefully they don't.
Yeah,
sounds like.
So to clear,
one thing I can say though. Go ahead.
let's say to clarify, a model suffering blind cannot make ranged or magic attacks, suffers -4 mat and defense, cannot run, charge, or make slam or trample power attacks. It must forfeit. There we go. Either its movement or its combat action during its next activation. Blind can be shaken.
So the way they worded blind, the way they talked about it on the thing is that pretty much we're looking at the -4 defense.
Well, and
because none of the other stuff is going to affect them, because the first half of it's gonna happen at the end of their turn. So that's going to be the first part of the round, and the second part of the round will be on our turn.
Well, and
so they'll be able to activate and do all their stuff, and then they get affected by.
No, they have to forfeit, but so the way that it's worded is that they have to forfeit at their next activation turn, which means they would have to shake it if they were blind and could shake it. So
that's what I'm saying. So when they in the Primecast, when they were talking about it, they made it sound like it would only be affected by blind on our turn, not theirs. So hopefully I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. That'd be fantastic.
Well, if the rule is as it's written is applied, it'll be better than they made it sound to begin with. However, if they make it a separate rule, it wouldn't be as good overall. So
like I'm saying, I think they made it sound like you'll feat, and then at the end of their turn, if they're still in your command range, then they get affected by blind.
Yeah.
And that's what I heard on the Primecast. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. Because I want them to be affected by blind the whole damn time. Their turn and my turn. So they're easy to hit, and they have to forfeit all that crap.
Maybe. It's tough to say.
That's what I want. I'm just telling you.
2 blinds. F them. It's a feat.
Well, it's not 2 blinds. It's how blind works normally. But okay. So.
All right. Well,
that would be strong though. A blanket blind in a 14-inch bubble would be pretty strong.
Yes.
A little bit. It's like they did that already and took it away from somebody.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so
lesson learned, perhaps, but
we're sort of beating a dead horse at this point because they did talk about all of this on last week's podcast. So as much fun as
screw last week's podcast.
But there was something that was announced.
I'm here now.
But there was something that was just leaked recently.
I can get online with everybody else. I think we're all just worried about cost and range.
It's possible.
Cost and range. That's kind of what we feel like.
Go ahead, Fraser.
I'll say there was something also that was leaked through their live stream they did. It was Velka, the Curseborn, the Northkin character solo. So it's speed 5, mat 8, 8 boxes, 2 times power and strength 12 weapon master, with righteous vengeance, unyielding, countercharge, retaliatory strike, and relentless charge.
That is a 6-point solo right there.
Yep, as I say, and
I was gonna say it sounds like the Kith card, but stronger.
Yep. They also said it has tough, but surprise, surprise, a troll model has tough.
That is crazy strong for that point cost, or for just crazy strong. Like I can't imagine that it's going to be less than 6 points,
or make it through the CID.
We'll have to see how that one pans out. That one makes us like. All of it sounds good to me. We'll have to see how much it costs.
Yeah, agreed. So.
I think I'm
hoping less towards the Sea King cost level.
I'm not
probably
paying
still
42
pay
points
7.
for a solo.
Well, no, that's not what I mean, but metaphorically speaking.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
know.
I'd probably pay 7 points for that. That's a lot of rules on one, one card.
Yeah. But if the ice troll looks really cool to me, but if it's cheaper than the impaler, that's a great selling point until it's a range 8 rat 5 model.
I don't think that'll be the case. I imagine
I hope not.
at the very least 10 or 12. But if it's a thrown weapon, it can't be because the impaler's only strength 9, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
8.
Strength 8.
9.
Yeah. Strength
No,
8.
it's a 9, power 4, right?
No, it's it's 9, power 4.
Yeah.
So, if it's a thrown weapon, it's gonna be range 8. So, not much you can do about that. That would be so limiting. But I mean, it's supposed to be just as effective in melee. Maybe we see Mat 6, Rat 6. Like that'd be pretty good.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Like
If they ramp its power up and reduce its cost, then it's stronger than all of our other light war beasts.
I have a really strong feeling that when our faction gets a toss into the CID, that we're going to see a point cost reduction in all of our lights across the board.
I hope so. They're all very expensive. I really hope so.
Actually expensive. And now, to be perfectly honest, there's outside of the animus of each of them that's super useful, and well, not necessarily all of them.
Is the Impaler better than a Slayer by 1 point?
Not even close.
No.
That's what I'm saying. They're very expensive. There's a reason why we're bringing a Mountain King every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bomber every time.
There's a reason why we bring one Gargantuan and maybe one heavy, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because it just costs too many points to
Or
bring two
maybe a
heavies.
bouncer just for the shield guard.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even want to do that. Why would you do that when you can pay, what is it, like 12 points for 3 fucking warders? And
Shield guards for sissies.
Tell that to
Guard's no
Signar.
joke, man. How do you think Jarl can play midfield? Like, he's just like, I'm boss, man. I got 3 warders over here. You can't shoot me. You're not going to charge through these assholes either. They're armor 19. Come at me, bro.
I'm with you.
Easy now. That yawn in there.
I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Clearly, too.
It's past your bedtime.
You should
at 8
really
o'clock.
sell off one of those kids and get a little more free time there, Dallas.
Baseball ended last week, so I, in theory, have more free time now. Although it sounds like that free time is going to be taken up camping.
I'm envious, that's for sure.
Just get a little table and you can play some games where you're camping.
Paint. That's when I paint.
Seems good. You sit outside when it's nice, paint some stuff.
Yep.
In the woods, hear the animals.
Man. Okay,
Hear the
so
stream.
let's talk for another moment about Velka. So
Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Righteous Vengeance on Velka is probably going to have to be limited to Northkin models, I'd imagine.
I would think so.
Like, I mean, given the theme, Northkin, tough, countercharge. Man, like, Scaldy Bonehammer is salty as fuck right now because Velka is so good.
It's a true story.
I really hope they take a second look at Scaldy if they're going to do that, especially since his attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Scaldy is a super flavorful model and concept, and I think that he really needs a little bit of validation there. I have to wonder if we don't get Northkin, like, champions effectively to attach Scaldy to, since he's a Northkin model.
Yeah, well, he gives them
turns
champions.
the unit into Northkin.
Or he gives them Northkin.
Oh, he actually does. Okay.
Yeah, he makes them Northkin.
Legit. I want a Northkin theme champions.
Just sculpt some fur on them.
Like,
Well, you could make one, clearly.
yeah, right? I should just go to work for Privateer Press and develop models. Step over.
Get on it.
I got
Yeah, Goris is here. Let's do this thing.
all troll all the time. Do all those other factions.
I'm in. Let's do it.
You guys all get gobbers now. Have fun.
Thanks.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
This should actually be a thing, though. Like, every faction should get a themed gobber, like, solo or unit. Just make it cool. All right, gobber ammo carriers, or, you know, gobber like flame lighters, or
Clearly, trolls get a gobber brewmaster then.
Yeah, God, yeah, serious. Gobber necrotite gatherer, like.
Oh, new faction.
They're the new slave race in there in Kingdom.
It's funny you should mention new faction. That was one of the things they've hinted at, is they're going to be doing a new faction every year.
Oh boy, one every year. So here's my speculation on this idea. So when they say faction, they don't necessarily mean like a whole complete faction. So what you're
something
seeing
like
right now is
Cephalid, right?
No. Think about it like this: Northkin, faction; Trenchers, faction.
Oh, gotcha.
Faction within faction, right?
Yep.
So you're adding faction models on a yearly basis that are in a theme, which can expand upon existing themes within the faction. I mean, they might even just relabel what a faction is. Like, Trollbloods are just going to be I don't know. So they'll call it something else, maybe. But I think that what they mean by a whole faction is not like the complete, or even the mini factions, like Retribution or Convergence, where you get a limited release with limited models, and they're not designed to be in competition with the rest, even though they are. But Northkin as a faction is probably what they're talking about as once per year, and you're going to see this sort of like ramp up in development cycle in CID. Like, they'll test out the stuff that they think they want to do new, see if the public is receptive to the idea, and then move along with that type of nomenclature in the future.
It makes sense. I mean, you look at like a Northkin faction, even though you don't have to, you can play it either with in theme where you're playing exclusively and they become their own faction, or you play it with other like we're doing Fire Eaters right now. You just bring them along and they fall under Trolls. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think it's not like people were worried about two things. One, they were overly aggressive with their release cycle, which they've been in the past, and it's caused like numerous model slowdowns, and adding more to their workload would just snowball the whole effect. Or two, you start to overcomplicate the game. Like, why do that to your game? You've got a very well balanced game with a good number of faction diversity in it and great model concepts. Why overcomplicate a game? I mean, at some point, when does your rule set get just too large for a player base to handle? I would argue that the point behind streamlining the way that they have done already was because the rule set was starting to get too large for especially new players to handle on the way in. People could be very intimidated by all of the different things that they could see, and would have to learn to actually play the game on a normal competitive level. And for instance, like, just even in a new player's perspective in a battle box, like, say you've got 4 friends, you've got your battle boxes and your rules and your friends' rules, and it's not always like the most fun thing to be like, can I read literally all of your cards so I know what your stuff does at the beginning of the game? Whereas when you start to play a game, yeah, they'll have some new rules and new concepts, but there's a lot of similar shared experience across the board when beginning the game, and streamlining those rules made it a lot easier for players to latch on to the game without feeling overwhelmed. Furthermore, like, War Machine's also a game where even complicated rules can sort of get glossed over on a model, and it won't feel like underwhelming in a way. Have these with like corner case rules about like, oh, this one has apparition, or this one has this or that, or whatever. Like, oh man, I missed that. That sucks. I'm missing 2 inches of movement. It's largely not going to matter when you're learning if that's the case. Would you have won a game where you wouldn't have? Maybe. But like, early on games in War Machine, when you're playing with a similarly skilled player, like, you don't win because your opponent made a mistake. You don't win because they forgot a rule. You don't win for those under those conditions. It's not the same as a competitive or a mid-level War Machine game. So
Well, it's
It
also
would not surprise me. Go ahead.
it's a testament to how solid the core rules are as well, right? Because the idea is that you're right, you can play it without any, and that's how when my sons first got into the game, a couple of the guys introduced them and had them play, and they played the basic rules without any of the special stuff on the back, and that's how they learned, and that's how they thought that found that the game was a solid game. So to your point, yeah, I mean, you can miss rules or not even include them when you're first starting off, but I mean, PP's actually tried to address that again because they've announced they're doing a new, I guess it's a skirmish level game that it will include a caster.
No warcaster.
Yeah, sorry.
Didn't they reveal that it was going to be a skirmish game that had no warcaster or warlocks
That's right.
involved?
Yeah, they just have units instead of having warcasters. So it's
And you would activate each model on an individual basis instead of as a unit itself.
correct.
So it would be much more
Cool.
micromanaged.
That sounds fun.
And I think I know there's a number of people I've tried to introduce to the game, and they sort of get confused. Well, who don't come from any of the other tabletop games? Say, well, why do you get to move all your stuff, and then I have to wait, and then I have to do all mine? So this is a good way to get new people into the game, and get some of the flavor, and maybe move them into the main game as well. And I mean, also kind of curious. I mean, how well those rules will translate if they'll make rules available and cards available for existing models. So if we want to play a game with our Fen Blades or some of our units, if we can easily bring those into that system.
That's really interesting too, because like, think of it almost like a Necromunda or something like that, right? Where you can actually get a lot more out of characters within the game, character solos, character units. Like you've got a really interesting narrative to play there. Much more interesting role playing experience when you drill it down to that level. Like think about how cool it would be when you've got a game where there's one unit of Fenblades and you've got they're led instead now by the Sons of Brag instead of a Warlock or a Warcaster, and then you've got a Kithkar along with them. Like that is a really cool story in and of itself playing out on the tabletop, and that's a super interesting and awesome concept to me. And man, this feels so it feels so circular, right? Like you could envelop this whole concept into the Iron Kingdoms RPG as a way of doing combat in those situations where you more often than not don't have a warcaster either in your party or as part of a skirmish. Like you and your guys are going, and all of a sudden, you hire a band of mercenary steelheads or something like that, and then your skirmish changes, and then you use this combat format for that type of an engagement. That sounds fucking great. Like this type of innovation is good for everything on Privateer's platform that involves the Iron Kingdoms, and I for one am really looking forward to this sort of thing.
Agreed.
Dallas, you were talking at the microphone during my rant.
I was muted. I think it sounds awesome. I think Warcasters are lots and lots and lots of fun, but sometimes the balance with Warcasters messes the game up as a whole.
Agreed.
And so I like the idea of a skirmish level game where you got a unit of guys that you're following, that you're dealing with, and it sounds cool to me. It sounds more granular though.
And it's also another venue to
like-
get people into the game too, because again, if you talk to some people that play other systems, having that feat turn where you have this all-powerful turn where you can do something, that's off-putting for some people where they want straight tactics. I don't want to have something there I can have everything planned out perfectly, and your super mega feat thing winds up messing up all my planning because it does something that breaks the rules of the game for one turn. I know that's a few people I've talked to locally. That's one of the reasons they don't play the game, because they don't like the feat concept. This is a great way to get them into the universe and start playing some of the games and seeing what it's like. So again, I think it's a smart move on their part.
Man, if they had a version of the IKRPG in a computer game, I'd play it all day long. But
what I'd be interested to see too is that I think that this is also a format that is really ripe for bringing Jack Marshals and junior warcasters into a more prominent role in the game. Like I don't think this game is as intriguing when it's just dudes. I still think that stompy robots and big monsters are
I agree.
core to the identity. So having access to that kind of thing on a factional level seems really good to me. So, I mean, for instance, like what's the Kadar's one, Tristan Durant, right? What if you could take him and a Juggernaut and you get that as part of your contingent? But that's a huge chunk of your points, right? So you have to be really efficient with the way that you use that resource in that skirmish battle. There's spells there, that kind of thing. And the same thing could be said with like Horgel, right? So you can only take Pyre and Slag Trolls. You can bring both of them, but like then you get like only half a unit of dudes, half a unit of Cur Warriors, half a unit of Fenblades, Bushwhackers, stuff like that, where you've got highly potent tools that do a specific thing, and then you sort of develop your own meta, as it were. Like, okay, this is the way the game is played in this way, and people can do this or this or this, combined arms, or they can actually just like focus on the journeyman or the Jack Marshall, that kind of stuff. And top of this, they've also confirmed that I think as part of this particular experiment, they're adding in a Beast Marshal, where it will have a similar function for Hordes factions. There's a lot of really unique play experiences to be had and interesting like list building, as it were, for this particular format.
Yeah, I wonder why they haven't done the equivalent of beast marshaling. I wonder if it's just because the fury mechanics are a little bit difficult to translate.
They were planning on doing it. They were planning on doing it when they were concepting the junior warlocks, Horgol and all the rest, when that development cycle went through. But because they lumped everybody all into the same thing, that thought was largely difficult to manage given the rule set before, and it got abandoned more than likely due to the fact that you got your junior warlocks anyway at that point. And now they're revisiting it because it bears revisiting. And the rule set is simple enough at this point that trying to add it in and be similar enough to the way Jack Marshall works seems reasonable to them.
Game. That sounds reasonable.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do it. Oh,
I mean, I think it's good overall. I'm looking forward to it. And, I mean, you've looked at even some of the wonky things that they've come out with recently, and it's all in the spirit of development. Throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. I mean, Hungerford's a crazy dude. He invented gargantuan wrestling and introduced it to the company, and everybody just like ran with it. So there's cool shit that they're doing, and maybe not all of it's designed to be the ultra competitive, clean environment that we exist in now. But sometimes you gotta like embrace a specific aspect of the game and just fucking run with it, right? Like the zaniness of gargantuans and colossals, and then you've also got the drilled down tightness of what they're planning on with these skirmish battles. Like, think it's kind of interesting too, because think about how, and I hesitate to call the War Machine video game a failure, but that it's not great. This is the same concept, only done in the more palatable way that we've been presented, and it doesn't rely on a program, on a game producing studio to produce a AAA game on 1/10 of a AAA budget, and that will be very, very evident here in the way that this game plays out, I feel. You too, I heard that through my mind because you didn't unmute yourself again.
I'm with you. That's what I said. I'm with you, fellers. Indeed. I think it sounds rad, and I think it's another dimension they can go to where they don't have to like remake a whole bunch of models. You can still buy things in the same boxes that they come in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a good move to me.
I've rambled quite a bit here. Fraser, what do you think about the whole
I,
thing?
I think it's a great move, and like I said, I think I'm curious to see what support for existing models and whether the rules, if you have to buy cards for your faction to be able, because one of the pieces is that different models have special abilities based on cards, so it's how that's going to expand will be interesting to see. But to be honest, I think they almost need to, just because some of the competition seems to be getting more aggressive in the tabletop market. You're seeing a new launch of Warhammer 40,000, which I'm sure is, I know at least in my local meta, we've lost at least 2 or 3 people from War Machine going back into 40K. And I'm sure that's something you're going to see
Well,
over.
that's largely because the game system's starting to evolve more and more towards the way War Machine is played, is what I've
Agreed.
heard.
Yep.
Agreed. But at the same time, people are going back to that. So I think they need to do, and to your comment before, it's like Necromunda. You're trying using the existing universe, try different ways to play your models you potentially already have, and get people to make it more sticky, and make sure that people just aren't willing to jump from the War Machine universe to another thing. Give them opportunities to play different styles of games, and be able to stick with it. So I'm definitely optimistic. I don't know if I'd buy the box because I don't play either Signar or Minions, which I think are the 2 units that come in the box. But I'll take a look at it and see if it's something that if the gameplay is, if it's a standalone sort of beer and pretzel game, then that may look at it that way to get friends and family into the game. If not, I'll see if what they do to expand it out into existing models.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. And I feel like this is an opportunity to like breathe new life into units and models that are sort of maligned right now in certain factions. Like, okay, think about how devastating burrowers are actually on a skirmish level that they are not right now. Stuff like that, where a model that sort of lost its way can have another opportunity to be good in a different environment. Like, when you have a limited number of resources and you've got dudes who can just like, hey, I'm gonna run around and then pop up behind you and you can't stop me from doing that, it's kind of huge in that sort of environment. And if point costs stay relative from one format to the other, burrowers are, maybe they're a little expensive, but in that environment, their invulnerability and mobility start to make their points back in droves, because they've got some interesting rules.
Agreed. Part of me is secretly hoping that Northkin, or sorry, the Burrowers are going to become a Northkin unit, or they get a solo that turns them into a Northkin unit. That's just my little hope.
No. Fraser. You have to reach for the stars if you want models to not be garbage. You have to just wait or hope that they wait until CID cycle and he's like, well, we fucked that one up. Let's fix it now. Like, we have to hope that when we get our CID balance, certain units and models get an eye turned towards them to make them like even competitive for certain things in their same point slots. Like, what competes for Fenblade's point slot? Nothing.
Nope.
Literally nothing in faction.
Absolutely nothing. Yep.
Competes for that point slot. Not a thing.
Yep.
So that's an opportunity. Not because Fenblades are too good, but because they undertuned the rest of the faction. Like, you can take an eye to Creel Warriors and think, okay, that was one of the units where they saw a lot of negative play experience because of the way Tough worked before and because of how fucking crazy Cabers were, and they were
way overtuned.
Yeah. So, and I think I hope those are the things that they actually take a look at, and I think that is what will happen. And from the chatter that I've heard, we're one of the factions that are sort of on the seat for like getting pushed into CID right now. It would not surprise me if
I thought trolls were next.
That was the
I'm pretty
Northkin
certain
theme.
they might be.
Yeah, they are. They are the next one, but it's focusing just on the Northkin. So we'll see if they.
No, they said they were going to tune everything, but I think they feel like most of it's in a good spot.
Now, I have a feeling that we're going to see more than just Northkin in the CID.
I could be wrong,
and I really hope that that's the case. Everything that I'm seeing in the Trencher CID right now leads me to believe that they are keeping a close eye on undertuned models right now. and that's the focus that you're seeing on the trencher theme. Also, it was very clear to me that they really, really, really wanted to give Siege a jetpack, even if it didn't actually like it didn't actually function like you would expect it to.
Hey, it'd be cool.
I like jetpacks. Can we get a jetpack?
Sure.
No. What we get a powder keg. It's a
I was
solo
gonna say, shake up a beer barrel.
We get
No,
that. We get the
powder
catapult.
keg. You pay for. You take D3 damage, and you're propelled in a a 1-2-3 blast template forward. That's ours.
Oh boy.
When combined with stumbling drunk.
Yes. Borka. Oh my God, Borka starts to get so crazy in that one.
Be fun.
Oh man, it's there's some cool shit headed down the pipe, and I'm really optimistic for the state of the game and the continuing state of the game. Like,
Agreed.
Privateer Press has like, there was a real negative vibe like leading into Mark III about the state of the game. So much so that I mean you've now seen the absence of Mr. Frank Wilkerson Nosrick on this podcast for a long time, and part of that was because of the handling of Mark III. And Privateer Press, like, I even felt a little bit of that. Like, they hit some of the things that I really loved hard, and I felt a little sting for a bit. But now with their
I still feel stuck.
indeed, but with their continued approach at making the game better, I am more confident than ever that this game will remain to be as balanced and as fun as it has been in the past.
Hope so.
I still run into some of those.
Like,
I still run into some of those tilting
I'm not
games.
trying
But
to be negative, but Privateer Press, give me reasons to keep playing. Come on. To stay here with you, fellas.
free stuff.
I don't get free stuff.
Well, you don't anymore.
not anymore.
I hardly kept that free stuff for myself anyways. I use most of that for my community.
And that's fine. I mean, what I would still like to see, like, their
Hook a brother up,
Crack it.
Privateer Press.
their first crack at prize support for this type of thing and for events and stuff was like, maybe that was a good idea in the beginning, but I mean, it was a far cry from what kind of support a community could get from an actual dedicated press ganger. So I think that they might need to step it up like a little bit.
You think?
Yeah, I think. I'm not a press ganger, but I know the impact that those people had on like my development in this game. And
I know my community's called me a couple times like, dude, how come you're not running events? I'm like, man, I don't have any reason to. I want to come play. I'll come play games with you guys, but my incentive to run events, it's like I love this game and I want to play it and I'll help you, but you got to find someone that's going to carry the torch. I'll come help them. I have all the material, but that part of it's kind of past for me. I just want to play.
And just like for you, I mean, it's not the monetary issue there. I mean, it's fostering a community. Like you can't give your time to a community for no compensation. And whether or not that went to you or not is, neither here nor there. What it did was it probably fostered the love of the game for several other people.
I hope so.
And kept them playing.
Yeah, I hope it did. That would be my hope anyways, is that people want to play because of me. But I just want to play. I want to play now. Makes me a bad person, but I'd rather whip you on the table with my trolls than run an event.
Well, and I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
Much like you, that doesn't necessarily mean that I wouldn't help out at a con, or if somebody said, "Hey, I'm running a big tournament over at X store. Can you help me? I haven't done it a lot." I mean, 90% of the time I jump at that option because I love this game, and I like a lot of the people in my community, so I'm willing to do that. So the drive is still there to a degree for a lot of people. We just need to figure out like what PB's bearing is on the situation. It just feels very what's the right word? Unsure at the moment where they're going to take. And honestly, I think that the way that they handle lock and load is probably going to be the biggest indicator of how this decision affects them as a company.
Well, as long as their presentation or their
agreed.
launch thing lasts more than like 30 seconds, we're okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
anxious to see how it works. So.
I am too, and as sort of a leaving nod, I will be at Lock and Load, guys, fans, Trollblood players, anybody who listens to this podcast. My bald head, my beard. I'll be out there playing games. It's more than likely I'll have a beer in my hand. Come out, have a drink with me, play a game. This shit. I love talking to fans. I love talking to anybody about the game. Just come out and hang out, and we'll have a good time. I might even let you hold Wrathrock because I'm gonna have that with me. Yeah.
Supposed
And
to
the only
go home
reason-
with me.
Can
Yeah, well, you're
someone
not there.
please put an idiot string on it for him? Like, you know, with the mittens, just an idiot string with Wrathrock.
This time I'm likely driving myself to this event, which means it's gonna end up in the car, not on top of it.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
So,
Hey, could someone follow him to make sure you can pick it up when he leaves it on the car?
Yeah, please.
see, this is
Dallas
the,
and I will both pay shipping.
the bare face of jealousy right here. These two guys.
You know
They're
what?
like,
I will
"You
pay
could get
shipping.
it.
Someone steals it from Matt and mails it to me.
You'll have to pry it from my cold dead fingers.
Just keep feeding him beers. He'll never know what hit him.
Oh no way! Oh, it'll be like a rich guy's case. I'll have a handcuff on the damn thing.
Like you said, an idiot string.
I
It's going
don't
to work to
know.
your advantage.
Oh crap! That's funny.
Come out, come take a selfie with me. We're gonna put them all up on the TrollbloodScrum Facebook page. Rock in your hands. It'll look fucking sweet. And I do have it that our good friend Aaron, the Dream Maker, will be taking Wrathrock in its current state, and he's going to be touching it up for the event. He's also going to be doing
mailing it to me.
No, he's going to do a photo op, and I'm going to get it back at Lock and Load so that everybody can take pictures.
He's used to sending me stuff, so he may send it to me instead.
I'm game. Let's do it.
Yep.
Bunch of jealous guys right here.
I
couldn't come to Lock and Load.
I have to admit, I have been able to
Matt,
hold Wrathrock
all
before.
I
Not
ask
your
is
Wrathrock, but the other
play
Wrathrock.
I'm going to give you a list, and I want you to play it at least once. In my honor, because I can't.
I hope I have the models for this. You play weird stuff.
If the CID holds on the War Wagon,
Wagons.
I think you have the models.
Probably right.
And 4 Night Trolls.
Model for model, my double War Wagon jar list.
It's pretty close. It'll be a pretty close version of that, actually. You'll be fine.
Seems right. I don't know if Danny's gonna make it out this year. I hope he does. It'd be good.
I hope so.
He said last year, or
He's
last
busy
week,
right
he
now.
said he wasn't going to
Graduated
be
from
able
college,
to.
bought a house. Yeah, he's busy right now. Hopefully he can go.
That'd be awesome.
I'm hoping Lock and Load is still good by next year because I have the green light for next year.
You know what, man? I'll give you the con report there because I'll be out there. I am in Masters on Friday. First heat. If I suck, like the first 2 rounds, I'm gonna go get into the second heat. Unless I feel like I'm completely out of my depth, and then I'm just gonna go get a beer and play Iron Arena.
He's gonna ninja shop for me though, right?
Somebody's going to be buying a model for you while I'm there.
Hey, I'll pay for everything. I just need it. I just want it purchased. It fits good. It'll hold. Hey, you gotta have a hot gobber sometimes.
Serious. I'm actually interested. Like, I have not this year, more so than previous years. I have not been like super like, oh man, what cool model am I gonna get at this con? Because I haven't been in touch with my friend who works there about what's actually going to be there. So hopefully there'll be something kind of cool and worth my time there. I'm in the midst of getting like 2 friends into the game. I'm probably going to loan out the Circle that I own. So maybe if there's something cool for Circle. I mean, I'm hoping against hope that like, hey, new Mulg is there.
Ooh, hey, yeah, if something blows wind up your skirt, you gotta let me know so I can send you money.
If I get a little bird talking to me,
Right.
I'll let you know. But
Beauty.
it has been right about our hour time. Fraser's going to turn into a pumpkin, and Dallas might just fall asleep on the stream. So, on that bombshell, this has been the Scrumcast signing off.
Night, folks.
Beauty. Hey, thanks, guys. And I'm most Wednesdays, barring any broken bones, I'm